All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Thank you to the Greater Portmore Tabernacle and the Kingston Tabernacle and Spanish Town Tabernacle for allowing me the privilege to be able to share with you. Thank you all for joining us from those three churches. Thank you for joining us, whoever you are out there. All right. Thank you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about health and from a physiotherapy perspective. All right. I am Lynval Lewis Jr., son of Reverend Lynval Lewis Sr., pastor for the churches above mentioned. And this is my lovely wife, Shadae Lewis. She will be helping us today in terms of the presentation and what we have in store. So thank you again. Thank you all for joining us. And at any time, feel free to write your questions down and in the comment section so that we're able to see it, and as soon as possible I will answer those questions. Alright, so as mentioned before, I'm Lynval Lewis Jr. I'm a physiotherapist, and I've been a physiotherapist for roughly 6 years now. Graduated 2013, but okay. Alright, pardon me for the glitch. So, as I was saying, got my official license in 2014, where I did my internship at various hospitals, KPH, Spanish Surgeon Golden Rehab Center, and since then I've been mostly in private practice, and I am the owner and operator of Lewis Top Notch Physiotherapy in Enfield, Brownstown, St. Anne. Alright, so today we are going to look a little bit on health. To look at it from a physiotherapy perspective and in terms of exercises and how. Alright, so we're back. Alright, so let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to tell you thanks for your great love. Thank you for your mercies. And as we are about to look in a pretty exciting, I pray that you will open up our minds, help us to see what it is that we need to do, help us to realize that you are interested in our health, and help us to make the necessary changes. We give you thanks and pray that you will be with us in Jesus' name. Amen. Alright, so 3 John 1 verse 2 says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So it is God's desire that our health should be in good stead. God wants us to be healthy, and I'm sure you have been fed with spiritual food from Reverend Lewis and others, and we optimal to facilitate that spiritual health, because as we know, the physical tends to manifest also in the mental. When you have better physical faculties, you're able to think clearer, to operate more optimally on a mental level, which leads over to the spiritual. All right. Health. The World Health Organization defines health state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not of disease or infirmity. Alright, so social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So we are going to look into the physical aspect of health. Alright, so as I told you before, I'm a physiotherapist, and you might be curious, what is who is a physiotherapist? What is physiotherapy? Alright, I'm just going to quickly read. It is science-based, committed to extend evaluating and evidence that underpins and informs its practice delivery. Alright, the exercise of clinical judgment and informed interpretation is at its core. So again, I'm defining physiotherapy. Alright, please bear with me. I'm living in the rural areas, so my signal is not as perfect as you know, you town folks. In particular, they treat neuromuscular, musculoskeletal, cardiovascular, and respiratory systems. Alright, so as physiotherapists, we look into the neuro areas of person's well-being, the musculoskeletal, the cardiovascular, and the systems. So we treat a pretty wide area of conditions under these systems. Alright, so physiotherapists work autonomously with other health or social care professionals. Physiotherapy practice is characterized by reflective behavior and systematic clinical reasoning, both contributing to and underpinning a problem solving at home. Alright, so we're looking at conditions, common conditions that a physiotherapist would treat now, just before we get into a series of exercises that you can implement at home. But some common conditions that we treat: one, stroke. Alright, stroke is a pretty common condition that we're seeing now across the world and in Jamaica. Oftentimes persons may think that, oh, a stroke is, you know, it lick me on my hand or it lick me on my foot, right? But it's not that you had a stroke in the hand or a stroke in the foot. Alright, so a stroke is a brain injury. Alright, and what happens is that it's either the blood vessel is blocked, right, by a clot, you know, or you have a rupture of one of the blood vessels, right? So you have a burst of the blood vessel. So that can lead to a stroke. So what tends to happen is that portion die, and unlike, you know, skin cells, where if you get a cut, you wash it off and you clean it up and it's healed again and you're fine, the brain cells are not really like that. Alright, so brain cells, they don't really heal. So what you find is stroke and that area of the brain dies, it doesn't really. So what you find now is that portion of the brain that dies, it would have been responsible for various movements, for various bodily functions. So because that portion of the brain dies, you no longer have function in that body part. Alright, so oftentimes it's usually one-sided. The various nerve cells can take on the function that you've lost. Alright, it's not 100% guaranteed, you know, but as physiotherapists, we try our best to, you know, to do repetitive that the brain can tap into those other nerve cells to let you regain function. Right, so that's how persons would regain function through. Right, so lower back pain. This is a very, very, very common problem. Lower back pain, very, very common, and the causes of low back pain, there are many. All right, but one thing that we look at closely leads to lower back pain. All right, so again, just to repeat, lower back pain, it has many causes to lower back pain, but one of the leading causes, you would say, is improper posture. All right, so you find persons, instead of being upright like this, you find them slouching like that when they're sitting. They walk the same way, you know. So you need to be opened up like this, with your back straight, chest out, butt out, and that will keep a spine. All right, that will keep your spine in its correct. Love to slouch down like this, you find, lower back pain develops. Also, I can remember as a youngster going to South Bar Primary School, carry some heavy bags, right? I used to carry every single textbook with me every day, especially when it's GSAT time. And that led up to first form in Woolmans, and I used to carry every textbook, and my bag is just hunching me like that. So, school is out now, so the children, they don't have to, right? But when school resumes, you should, consider not letting your child carry so many textbooks. Just carry what is needed, and whatever you can in a locker or whatever is provided, you do so, right? Because carrying that weight around for so many years, can lead to lower back pain. So you want to ensure that you're protecting your weakness, that leads to lower back pain. Also, a concept called pinch nerve, I will, go in depth a little bit with, and this is very common, right? So the back one upon another like this, and in between the bones you have what you call intervertebral discs. All right, so the discs, inside the discs you have a jelly-like substance, and it's supposed to give you good cushioning between the bones. So what you find is with age, persons tend to this suppleness or this cushion effect of the discs, and there are various ways of doing this decompression technique to relieve that back pain. Various muscle strengthening exercises, to relieve that back pain. And we are going shortly into those exercises that you can do to prevent pain. And if you do have lower back pain, chances are it can help. But I must say, if you do have lower back pain presently, first get it checked out by a doctor. Get a referral, to see a physiotherapist. I mean, if the doctor so sees fit, and then a physiotherapist would help you with that lower back pain. All right, but osteoarthritis worn out, and when they get worn out, it tends to give a lot of pain. All right, so we're talking about arthritis again. Please forgive me for the signal, really poor, I know. But again, I'm in the deep woods, so so the signal is a bit poor. But so I'm saying that with arthritis in the knee, now you tend to have a degeneration of the cartilage within the knee, and that tends to give a lot of pain when you walk, and worse if you have on a lot of weight, that tends to pain like crazy. All right, so we as physios, we would manage that in a variety of ways. We would strengthen the muscles surrounding the joint, and that tends to relieve pressure from the joint itself. We will work on, if you have a lot of body weight, we work on getting down the body weight. That tends to ease the arthritis pain as well. So we would work on getting down the body weight, and that a lot of exercise options that we use. All right, so those are just 3 conditions in which physiotherapists would treat. And as I said, these conditions, they are individualistic, so it's not really a one size fits all, and that will cure the back pain for factors that we would assess, and when we assess, we would know exactly how to treat. But getting down into the fun stuff now. So what can you do at home, especially in this time. You're at home, seems as if you have nothing to do. Exercise. Exercise is organized, it is structured, it is planned, it is repetitive, and we need not just doing some activities and calling it exercise. All right, so just rising up from the couch or walking from potentially cause. All right, so being inactive, you put yourself at an increased risk for heart disease, diabetes, various types of cancers, shortened life expectancy, osteoporosis, which is weakening of the bone, um, stroke, high cholesterol, infectious diseases such as the one now. So what we're saying is that if you're inactive and you're not doing anything, you will put yourself at risk for having these things, because your immune system to tackle some of these things. Not saying that persons who exercise thoroughly, they're totally immune from any of this. No, not the case. We live in a very sinful world, and just by the natural consequences of sin, even if you're an exercise fanatic, some of these things can still come, but at least you would have done your part if you exercise. So becoming easily fatigued, high blood pressure, depression and anxiety, gallstone formation, all of these things, they're just if you are inactive, not doing anything at all, you would increase your risk of having these things. But what are some effects of exercising? Some things. You can control your weight, right? Combat health conditions that you may have. It can improve your mood, right? It boosts your energy, promotes better sleep, promotes good bowel function. What you find, you can say it improves your strength, it improves endurance, and as mentioned before, it improves your immune system. All right. So exercise is such a wonderful tool that we all can use to better our health. All right. So the question is, how often should you exercise? Right? How often should you exercise? So if you are doing aerobic training, meaning a lot of cardio, walking, riding bicycle, walking on the treadmill, those are aerobic type exercises. If you're doing that, you want to have at least 150 minutes of moderate activity weekly, right? So that works out to 30 minutes per day for 5 days for the week, roughly. Or you can do 75 minutes of vigorous activity, which works out to roughly 15 minutes of vigorous exercise 5 days for the week. All right. And if you're like me, you would want to do a whole lot more than that, and you will get a lot more health benefits in terms of the time. In terms of increasing the time, the length of time, you'll get a lot more. And when I say major muscle groups, I mean the chest, the back, the arms, the shoulders, the thighs, which is the quads at the front and the hamstrings at the back, the calves. You want to make sure that you're working those muscle groups at least twice for the training. And my dad told me the other day that he's doing 30 push-ups per day, and I'm very proud of him. So he's doing pretty well. And push-up training, so you can incorporate that. All right. So the matter So you warm up for 5 minutes, walking on the spot, marching on the spot, and then you get into the meat of the matter, right? And after you've finished the major exercises, you call it a recreation. So you do something that you probably like. For those who might like to dance, you turn on some good gospel music and you dance, and it's pretty fun, but it helps so that you can keep the motivation and stay on it. And after all of that, you want to make sure that you cool down. All right, cool down is very important. So we are going to demonstrate exercises that you can incorporate at home. All right, so we're going to do that one more time if you missed it. All right, so what we're doing is various exercises that you can incorporate at home. You don't need a gym. You don't need to go outside necessarily. You just need yourself on the floor. All right, so push-ups. This is the all right, so this is time, but this is called the Superman exercise. And again, this is one I love to use for my back pain or my patient pain. All right, so the Superman exercise. Again, all you need is yourself and the floor. So stretched out in front of you, and you are raising your chest, head, everything from the floor to be only on your navel. Alright, so you're lifting both legs and you're lifting the arms, the chest, and the head off the floor. So you realize that it gives a good crunch. There are two muscles, or groups of muscles running all the way down the length of your spine into your lower back. And strengthening this muscle definitely will protect your lower back, so that you do it about 3 sets of 5. So this is the pelvic bridge or the bridging exercise. All right, so you raise the butt all the way up towards the ceiling. Right. Right. So this is a wonderful exercise again for the lower back, the glutes, which is the buttocks, the hamstrings, and the quads on the top here, and it certainly will give you a very good workout. So you want to start with about 3, as mentioned before. 5 you rest, 5 more you rest, and then another 5, and you want to do this daily. All right, so this one is called hip extension, right? So this is another one that strengthens the lower back, strengthens the buttocks and the back of the thighs. All right, hip extension. So lying down, we will demonstrate is the squatting. All right, we will demonstrate is the squatting exercise, and I'm sure you would have seen it. You would have seen persons do it. Right, so pretty easy. And you want to do, if you're just starting, this is your first time, say 3 sets of 10 would be a good starting point. So you do 10 and you more, take a break, then you do 10. Alright, so just like that. And each week you can try to add 2 more reps to it. You do 3 sets of 12, then the week after that you do 3 sets of 14, then the week after you increase all the way up to half an hour session. Alright, so you want to incorporate all. So that's pretty much what I wanted us to look at this evening. I'm going to take a little look at some questions. If you have any question at all and the signal is going great, I will answer them. So feel free at this time to ask questions and I will try to answer them. Alright, so if you have any questions, so now is the moment for questions. If you have any question at all, please feel free to ask. Alright, so those are a few exercises that you can incorporate at home safely. Alright. So question time. I'm waiting on the questions. Alright, if no question at all, I just want to wish you all good health, and I trust that in this time of this crisis that you will not just sit at home and do nothing stacked upon another. Right, so I'm answering the pinch nerve question. Right, so your spine is like this, or vertebra stacked upon another, and in between the vertebra have a disc, right? We call it an intervertebral disc. So with aging, with the natural process of aging, you find that the disc, it gets worn out, just like the back of your shoe. When you walk for long periods, you find that it wears out over time. So with aging, this disc gets worn out, and when the disc is worn out, it irritates the nerve, just like this pen coming closer together, pinch, irritates the nerve. You find that you will have a lot of pain and tingling and numbness running down all the way to the legs, because this nerve, it runs from the upper back and it goes all the way down into the legs. Alright, so when the bone comes close to the bone, worn out, so the space is not enough, the bone coming closer, you find that it irritates the nerve that is running out from the spinal column. And once this nerve is irritated, you find that you will have a lot of pain going down the entire distribution. The nerve runs down into the leg, you will have pain going all the way even down into the. But most times persons complain of pain in the buttocks, in the hamstrings, the back of the thigh. Most persons would complain of a needle-like sharp shooting pain going down in the buttocks of the thigh, right? But that is pinch nerve, but that is all because the disc in between the vertebra the disc is worn out, so the space that the bone has is less. So the bone comes down and the disc is worn out, bone comes down, pinching the nerve, and then you have that pain. So as a physiotherapist duty, which is very hard, that nerve from the pain, right, or from the compression. So I have various methods, decompression methods we call it, to ease that bone up. And once that bone is released, or once we ease that bone up, you find that it eases the nerve, so the nerve is not being irritated anymore. All right, so that is pinch nerve, and that is, you know, what we would do as physiotherapists. Okay, so all right, so what kind of nutrition should guide these workouts? All right, so you know, in these workouts, all right, so let me just repeat that quickly because I think the signal was out again. But in terms of nutrition, you want to consume a high protein that will help to repair your body after the workouts. You want to ensure that you are consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables so that you're getting the micronutrients necessary to repair your cells, right? So when I say fruits and vegetables, I mean everything fruits and vegetables, all right? And proteins, peas, beans, and you know, egg is a good source of protein. The white part, you know, you can have the white part. Chicken breast and fish, those are good options for quality protein. And you want to eat a lot of complex carbs, so your sweet potato, I have a whole lot of them right now of you, but sweet potato, complex carbs, yam, you know, I carbs. So, right, so I hope you got the answer, Mr. Ellis. I know my signal is terrible, but rushing on to answer poor circulation. All right, so if you have poor circulation, provided that you don't have a clotting problem, you'd have to check that out with your doctor to ensure that you don't have blood. Right, so if you don't have clotting problems, you just have poor circulation, these exercises that we've been showing you, they are pretty good for improving blood flow, right? But especially and light or brisk walking or jogging, those are very good for improving your circulation. Also raises, that's a good exercise to improve your circulation. It's simply you're standing and you're just raising toes, right? So you're on your tiptoes, up and down. So the calf muscle, that big muscle back of your leg, that muscle is responding. All right. So right. So I hope you got that. Let me just try to get it in quickly again. So heel raises, going up on the tiptoes. That's a very good exercise for poor circulation. And just jogging and brisk walking, very good for poor circulation. All right. Again, if you don't have clots, so make sure that you don't have blood clots because those exercises can potentially make matters worse. So you want to check with the doctor that you don't have clots. So Mr. Ellis is saying that his wife, you know, is complaining that when she drives, she gets pain and numbness in her left wrist, right, and fingers. So what is this condition? All right, so that is a very tough question because it can be a lot of things. I mean, a proper and thorough assessment would reveal what exactly it is, but I can that there is a condition that is very popular called carpal tunnel syndrome, right? And that is a condition where there is a compression of the nerve in your wrist, nerve. For whatever reason, the nerve is being compressed. You might be using your wrist a lot, like, you know, office workers. You're writing a lot. You have to write a lot. The tendons pass over this area, and they can sometimes irritate that nerve in the area. We call it the median nerve, right? So when that nerve is irritated, you tend to have all that pain in the fingers, because the nerve, you know, it goes all the way into the hand. So carpal tunnel syndrome is a possibility, all right, depending on if she's using her wrist a lot. You know, pregnant women tend to get that sometimes because they have a lot of swelling in the extremities, in the ankle, the wrists. So the swelling, the buildup of fluid, median nerve, and give that. So, but I don't think, well, I don't know if your wife is right. Right. So I'm saying pregnancy tends to, you know, give that issue. Sometimes you have the swelling there and it irritates the nerve. But most of the time, writing or typing and your wrist is like this. So if you have to type or write, your surface is at a 90-degree angle, right? So that you don't have to be up like this, right? So when your elbow is up like this, it tends to compress the nerve here. So you want to keep your, I'm sorry, not your elbow, when your wrist is like this, it tends to compress the nerve that is right here. So you want your wrist to be, all right? So the table should not be low enough to facilitate, right? So I think it's a good strategy, Mr. Ellis, to stop cooking. You know, use another means to get her out. Use another means to you know, to get her out. But it's good for you both to be exercising together. So try and get her out some other way. But I wouldn't recommend. Alright, so please forgive me with this signal issue. Alright, so to answer Brother Brown's question, alright, again, for me to be very specific, I would have to see your foot. I would have to see and assess to know what the issue is. But chances are you're having some ankle stiffness, and it could be due to some muscle tightness, probably of the calf. And I know your profession can tend to make your calf overactive, and because of, you know, tightness of your calf, it can cause stiffness in the ankle if you are right. So I hope you got that, Mr. Brown, right? So chances are, I would say, stretch your calf, and you can have some relief. But I would have to assess you properly, and I would have to assess you thoroughly, right? Because I'm assuming that you're saying foot, meaning down where your ankle, below your ankle, right? Because persons may say foot, but that can mean all the way up in the hip and the knee for them. You meant when you said foot, you're talking below your ankle, or ankle and below, right? So if that's where your pain is, chances are, because of your occupation, which I know, you may be having some tightness in the calf, and that can give you ankle pain. So I hope you got that. I'm trying to work with the signal as it comes. So I'm saying again, Brother Brown, stretch your calf as much as possible. Stretch it, and when I get the chance to see you, I can properly assess it for you. Right? But just stretch your calf, and you can warm up a towel and put a warm towel over the back of your calf, and you do that for about 15 minutes every night, or every morning rather, just before you get up, and tell me how it goes. tell me how it goes and I can inform you after that. Alright. Alright, so just waiting for any more questions. I'm just looking out if there's no more question. Next time I will try my best to be somewhere where signal is much better. But again, you know, being in the bushes sort of put me at a disadvantage. Signal with me, whatever you got. Right, so whatever you got, I'm hoping, you know, it was fruitful. So I just want to remind you to join us again tomorrow morning at 7:30 with Reverend Lynval Lewis, Senior, right, for prayer and the word. And if you have any more question for me, I will, well, please go. Yes. So let me try to quickly get a word of signal go.